Super Rugby Saturday games, folks. There were 4 of them. We're sitting here. It's like 3 o'clock on Sunday. I've only just caught up on the games. But yeah, pretty close. Pretty close games across the board. And almost an upset. Happy days. I love it when stuff like this happens. It means there's a legit bit of parity in the league. Like anybody can beat anybody, potentially, right? Happy days. Happy days. 3 of the games were actually legit pretty good quality. One of them was, I would have personally said, a bit lower on the quality, but had a dramatic finish to get it across the line. But anyway, we'll go through some key events, some stats, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on these games. The Drua against the Chiefs. Can we please have more games in Fiji? I think someone told me there's 4 games in Fiji next year. How good are the games in Fiji? How good are the crowds? Amazing. How good is the atmosphere? Amazing. How many points is that crowd worth to the Fijian Drua? 5 points? 10 points? I don't know. But the Drua are way better when they play at home. Oh my goodness, like, unbelievable. Like, that's both games in Fiji have been arguably the 2 best games. Like, both games have been firecrackers, and neither of the games got a win for the Drua, unfortunately, but man, did they give it a good shot. The crowd is the highlight of this game. Early afternoon game for those of us in this part of the world anyway. 35-34, it's a late try to the Drua that brings it close. The Chiefs had a decent lead, and the Drua almost managed to chase them down. Ta'avao Gatland Narawa gets a couple penalty try to the Chiefs, plus some conversions from Gatland. Vota, Ravovo, Salvoli, a couple of penalties from Tella and some conversions. Plus, what's maybe the try of the season in this game. Like, if you have not seen the highlights, please just close this video and go find the highlights, because it was literally amazing. The crowd, the tries, the skills. This game was just legit, and it finishes within 1 point. Like, absolutely crazy. The try I'm talking about is the second, it's the Ravovo one. Habosi with the line break and then getting it to Ravovo. That one was just coast to coast, broken tackles, speed, agility. Like, just the best ad for rugby union, best ad for Super Rugby. Like, what a game. The Chiefs with their set play, to be fair, were good. Like, Narawa's second try was from a scrum set play, or was it the first one? One of them was anyway. But yeah, you just basically say this one in the cliche form: Chiefs first half, Drua second half, and it finishes pretty tight. So yeah, I mean, like, the possession stats finish 50-50, but second half is 60% Drua, whereas the first half was 41% Drua. So game of 2 halves, man. Run meters 633 to 262. So the Drua did some running, man. 32 defenders beaten to 12. Like, they were just so good to watch. Clean break 6-3. But as I said, the Chiefs had it where it mattered. Yeah, big carry from Ta'avao for his try after a bunch of phases after a scrum. So Gatland's one was after a scrum. So like I said, just getting it right at the right times, the Chiefs, and they just did enough. Habosi, 103 run meters, 10 defenders beaten. Unbelievable that guy has been this season. Jacobson, 16 from 17 tackles. So yeah, that's the Drua season done. But I think we've seen enough from them this season to say they are a really, really good addition to the competition. The Chiefs have made the quarters, and they will be at home for their game up against the Waratahs next week. The second game, speaking of teams which have been a welcome addition to the competition, Moana Pasifika, 32 points to win the 22 winners over the Brumbies. Who picked that? Honestly, who picked that one? I didn't pick that one. Not a chance. And with a red card to your captain in his 150th game. How many points did they concede during the red card? Was it 7? And they scored 12? Like, pretty crazy stuff. This game is pretty bonkers. Like, can you imagine? Like, I'm not saying they would have gone on to win the competition, but if Moana Pasifika had had a slightly less disrupted, having to play back-to-back games with the COVID situation, would they have been 1 win better? Maybe 2? I don't know. Maybe the same. But for a team that's had it pretty tough, I think they've done pretty well. Pretty well. They certainly had their their backs up against it. Kepu gets the red card for a high tackle on Muirhead early on, and the Brumbies did punish them with a maul, to be fair. McInerney goes over, but Havili and Apakatoa go over for Moana Pasifika, plus they get a penalty try later on. Lonergan, that's Lockie, did get one back for the Brumbies, but then the Anisi try essentially secured the game for Moana Pasifika, and the Samu try on 83 minutes was pretty much just a consolation. If I was the Brumbies, I would say they looked a little bit creaky under the pressure. Like, there's a couple of times when these guys had penalties and just wanted to play for the quick tap. I think one of them was Ryan Lonergan, and he just knocked it on. And it's like, you guys have legit got one of the best set pieces in the competition. Go to your maul. Even if you don't want to try and maul it over, get it out to your outside backs. They're lightning as well. I don't think it was that kind of pressure cooker situation that was like so desperate to play now. It's not like you only had 1 minute left. They were chasing the game. They were like, what, 22-10 down? Or was it, no, 22-17? Maybe 25-17 because the Moana Pacific guys had kicked the penalty. So, yeah, still, you need to score, but that was like on what, 60-something minutes? Yeah. Liliafano ends up kicking a 50-22 in return once Moana Pacifica turned it over. So, yeah, I do think the Brumbies didn't handle the pressure that well. But again, like I said with the Blues game last week where they lost it at the death, maybe this is one where you need this kind of game to get that out of your system. So you've been there, done that, and now you know what to do next time kind of thing. Because Ryan Lonergan's still a pretty young dude. They're still going to be in the quarterfinals. Credit to Solomon Akata for a pretty sweet offload for the Anisi try at the death, which secured the win for them. That was pretty sweet stuff. Like I mentioned, Liliafano's 50-22 was pretty good. Remember, the Brumbies actually at one point ended up with 2 yellow cards, and they actually did pretty well. So credit to the Brumbies and the Blues later on, but for this game, the Brumbies, although they didn't really capitalise on the Moana Pacifica red card, they did do well during their double yellow card. So it's kind of a game where neither side capitalised that well. Run meters finished 356 to 225. Moana Pacifica got more possession, more defenders beaten. Brumbies got more penalties conceded. So Moana Pacifica, man, were legit just too good in this game. Levi Almoa, 78 run meters, 8 defenders beaten. I mean, Pete Samu, 44 run meters, 4 defenders beaten, 9 from 10 tackles, also pretty solid. But, yeah, man, Moana Pacifica were good value. So, happy days, man. I want you guys to have a nice, consistent, week-on-week season next year. And we'll see what these guys can do. I'm quietly pretty proud of the way they went. Both these new edition sides really put their hands up in this final week as well. They still finish at the bottom of the table, but neither of them got nilled throughout the season, you know what I mean? So, yeah, they both picked up a few wins, so happy, a couple of wins each, so happy days. The Blues and the Waratahs, this game was pretty ugly. The Blues played their B come C team for this one, but they still managed to sneak through with a win. The score at halftime was 3-0. 3-0 to the Blues. It was a bit of an ugly one. Mackenzie, the new first 5, he missed the penalty. Yeah, he's not. There's a lot of young blood in this Blues lineup, so I'm not going to blame him. Segner went off injured. He's only a relatively newcomer as well. The Blues get a yellow card warning for a bunch of penalties conceded. Choate got yellow carded for a high tackle. Was it on Hooper? Which I honestly think was a bit harsh. I don't usually criticise the refs too much. I only really do it when it comes against my Blues. And I don't read the laws. I admit it, man. I can't read the laws of rugby. I'm not mentally capable of doing it. I'm going to put that out there right now. But I watch enough rugby to get a general feeling for the way they use the laws, right? And generally, this season, no matter what competition I've been watching, what they're trying to punish is upright tackles, right? They're really strict on them. And players where they are not upright, when they are fully bent, getting low, have been tending to not get punished because that's the behaviour they're trying to encourage, right? Well, Choate's one, I felt like he was bent, and the guy he tackled, I'm pretty sure it was Hooper. It's been so long since I watched the game. It was last night, up till bloody midnight. Slipped into it. So I would have thought, guy slipping, tackler in the appropriate tackling position that they are trying to encourage, no foul play. But the ref was just like, well, he's hit him in the head. So I swear I've seen other situations where the ref has legit gone to the opposition captain and gone, I know he's hit him in the head, but he's done the right thing. So there's no foul play. So someone explain it to me, man. I don't get it. But anyway, Choate gets yellow carded. Then Akira Ioane gets yellow carded because there's still yellow card warning for 2 minute penalties conceded. Can the Waratahs punish the Blues B team with 13 men? No, they can't. The Waratahs should feel pretty annoyed with themselves at this one because that was pretty stink. That was bad. That they should have been able to do way better than that. The Blues are winning scrum penalties with 2 forwards off the field. Like that's I don't want to say disgraceful, but that's pretty bad, Waratahs. You need to be putting the Blues to the sword here, but they didn't. They did finally get some pretty sweet ones. And I've been very, impressed with the Waratahs team for the most part this season. They're night and day better than last year. But a couple of nice tries through Maki Mark. No one needs to say they got some wide ball to him. So they finally managed to click in the second half. But the Blues also managed to click as well. FORvHUR got one on 66 minutes, his first ever Super Rugby try. And then Big Luke Romano powered over on 75 minutes. So, yeah, the Blues comeback was absolutely on. I don't want to mention the knock-ons in this game, but the count was pretty high. So if you're looking at, I think it was 9-3 at halftime with the Waratahs having 9. So again, that's an area where they probably won't be that bad again, but this is not the week they need it to be that bad. The Blues had to go 16 phases for the Romano try, so pretty well worked. The Waratahs kicked a penalty on like 79 minutes to bring it to 17 points apiece. But second week in a row, a droppy for the Blues wins it at the death. This time it was Zahn Sullivan rather than Bodie. From side on, I thought, man, he shanked that. But from the back, nah, man, he hit it beautifully. So absolutely thrilling stuff at the end from what was otherwise a pretty ugly game. Great crowd as well. Leichhardt, I think, is second only to Fiji in terms of having the best easy on the eye crowd. Like, really looks great. Not quite as loud, but man, really good crowds. It's a pity they're not going to play there in future, because that, I think, is the perfect venue for them, man. It's a really, really good vibe there. But, the Blues nick it. Remember, the Blues didn't need to win this game because they'd already secured first spot. But there was value in this match for the Tars, but, yeah, they couldn't capitalise. Tars got more run meters. The Blues kicked a bit more, which is not surprising because they weren't that keen to play with the ball, to be honest. Hooper makes 21 out of 22 tackles. Romano makes 8 from 9 plus 22 metres. Man, the Blues managed to somehow get that done. As I said, the Waratahs handling, I don't think will be that bad again. If they've got one more game, guaranteed, but yeah, it can't be that bad again because it was pretty poor at times. The Waratahs are away to play the Chiefs in their quarterfinal. The Blues are still awaiting their opponent. It'll either be the Highlanders or the Force. I'd say they'd rather the Force, but you got to back yourself if you're at home, no matter what. The last game, and the reason the Blues quarterfinal is still undecided is because the Force managed to show us something and get a win over the Canes. They needed to win with a bonus point earlier in the week. Remember, this team played pretty much twice because they played on Tuesday. It was the same team. They flew all the way to Perth. They backed up and they still managed to score a late try to win this one. Impressive stuff from the Force, man. I'm absolutely chuffed. I feel for the Canes always, but I'm chuffed to see the Force get a win, man. Good stuff. 27-22. The Force fans had needed something to cheer about. They finally got it, man. A different situation in terms of refereeing. I was complaining about the Choate yellow card for the Blues. The Karifi one on Kahui, who didn't come back on, I don't think, after he went off. That one was, I think, refereed a little bit better. Kahui got hit by Karifi, but they saw that Rayasi had kind of blocked his arm and there was a bend and whatnot, so he ended up getting off without being punished. So this is what I'm talking about with the consistency thing. But anyway, I feel for Richie Kahui if that was his last game. But anyway, Force managed to get a penalty. Thrush gets yellow carded for a bit of cynical play against his old team. But the Force do get a 6-0 lead. Ticking along all right. But then the Canes show us what they can do, man. Morgan and MOAvBRU, these guys are lethal. Rayasi as well. MOAvBRU gets 2. Yose gets 1. That guy's got wheels for a Lucy. And then Rayasi gets 1. So 4 tries for them. But it's the Force forwards that really show us some stuff. Medrano gets 1 from close range. Reedy gets 1 from a maul. And Ralston gets 1 late on in the piece. And that was the Pasifika pass that kind of set that one up. So proper lead changes in this one. Fergus Lee Warner caused a bit of handbags and caused the team to have a penalty after the Reedy try with a bit of pushing and shoving, which the refs noticed. So that's kind of not the stuff you need to be doing when your team's in a kind of do or die match, but they managed to kind of get away with it. So I thought the Force had fluffed this on 79 minutes when they won a penalty. They're 27-22 ahead, and they just need to kick it out, secure the line out, and then wind the clock down, right, for 30 seconds. Do you think they find touch? No, but the defense managed to hold. So they put themselves under some pretty unnecessary pressure, raised the blood pressure of some Force fans, but either way, job done. I mean, the Canes had more run meters, but also more turnovers conceded. The Force, this is on the back of their defense, man. They made 188 tackles to 104. So it's the defense that ends up winning them the game. And the Canes conceded too many penalties, 14-8. The scrum was struggling a little bit. I think Frank's got pinged a few times. Anstey, 19 from 19 tackles. Rayasi, 72 run meters and beats a couple of defenders, scores a try. But yeah, we are now about 30 minutes away as I record this from the Rebels and the Highlanders. The Highlanders, I think, only need 1 point out of that game to pip the Force. But as I record this, the Force are still in 8th, needing the Rebels to do them a big old favour in this last game. But anyway, crazy games, upsets, drop goals. I mean, forgot to mention the Brumbies had a drop goal in their game as well. It's 2 drop goals in 1 week. Pandemonium, folks. But yeah, last game for the Drua, Moana, Pasifika, and potentially the Force, but we'll kind of have to wait and see. You guys let me know your thoughts on the games, and goodness me, 17 minutes, I've been waffling on. You guys take care, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.